be out hiking with 2 mates in an area southeast of Adelaide. Sun starts going down, so we come back up the gorge. Walking along when it starts smelling like blood or copper, something like that. Halfway up, hear something moving in the bush. There's 3 of them. 1 to the left of the track, 1 to the right, and 1 behind us. Standing dead still, not making a noise. From the bottom of the gorge, hear this ungodly scream. It sounded like a woman screaming for help, but in reverse. The 3 things start to move closer. We all nope the fuck out of there, sprinting up the gorge. Jesus fuck, why is this thing so steep? Smoker friend starts lagging behind because fucking lungs. He's screaming at us, "Wait, guys, fuck, wait, come back." Fuck. I slow down to his pace so he doesn't get jumped. These things are right behind us, but still hidden in the scrub. They are making noises like a dog trying to speak human. Oh shit, there's a car, run! As we get to the car, I turn around and see this pale-ass man-sized thing slink back into the scrub. Hear what sounds exactly like my friend in the scrub. "Wait, guys.
Come back."
It screams again. We nope the fuck out of there. Nobody believes me, but my sister. It was terrifying. It happened a little under 6 months ago. Haven't gone back since. First things first, the only reason I got in these fucking woods is because my school would organize a camping trip 3 times a year. It was a boarding school, so these things were encouraged so that we would be independent when we grow up. Or shit bricks for the rest of our lives, in this case. So, I had a lot of weird experiences in the jungle/woods, even during the day. Sadly, I can't greentext the whole thing, because it will be awkward to read while I'm trying to explain stuff along the way. So, usually we arrive at campsites around 5 or 6, right before the sun sets. Campsites are about a 15 to 20 minute walk to the near town there, so it's really tiring just to get there with all of our supplies. In every camp all around the year, there's always an activity called night walk. Basically, it's just us walking through the woods in pitch black. If you extend your hand in front of your face, you can't see it. That's why we were ordered to walk in a line and just follow wherever the guy in front, usually the camp master, sometimes the facilitators, goes. It's a pretty cool experience. You can hear wildlife during the night. I mean, you gotta be there to know that feeling. Anyways, so the facilitators would wait at checkpoints to ensure our safety and all that. What I did not know back then is that they were stationed there to do head counts. We did a head count before leaving the camp, after and before entering the forest. So what happened was, whenever something's wrong, we will take a short break, and we had to sit on the ground. I feel sad for those who had to sit on mud puddles. They will tell us, one by one, to sit on the ground. Basically, another head count. From time to time, they would use those bright-ass flashlights to our faces. The first thing everyone would do is cover our eyes, right? Until I saw the guy in front of me just stared at the light, motionless. I looked at the facilitators, and they were trying to say something to me, but fuck, I was clueless as hell. Lights went off, and I felt a hand on my mouth that carried me away. I squealed like a rat until I was convinced it was one of the facilitators. They held me for quite some time. It was dead silence, and the students stopped coming in. Seems they found out who they're looking for. It goes on for a while, till the flashlight goes back on to the spot where it has been. It's not there anymore. Nope. But couldn't fucking do anything. We're still in the woods, and we're not even 15 minutes in. So the head counts continued -1. Then, there was another problem. 2 more were missing. I knew because I remembered the total head count. My body was in cold sweat, and suddenly, I have the urge to shit. The facilitators have seen a lot of these things happen, so they carried out their protocol and stuff. Only left us with 2 facilitators to lead us through the jungle. 1 in the front and 1 in the back. The camp master went away to find the missing ones. So, we continued once again, enjoying the cold, pitch-black darkness. So, we were following this facilitator, and something just felt off. Before this, the tracks we went through was flat ground. Now, we're walking on trees, bushes, bamboo, and whatever else was on the ground. We fucking crossed a river that was deep to your knee. After a while, everyone seems to notice it as well. We whispered to each other about this being weird. I felt someone tap my back, and it was the facilitator, the one who was guarding the back. Told me to go to the rest of the guys, grouping up in the back. Told me that we are not following the usual track, and also, we were not following one of us. I noped into the group of guys, stumbling into them, because I was really terrified at that moment. Felt stupid thinking about it now. So, one by one, the other students came back to the group, literally shaking. Out in the distance, we heard a signal call that goes, "Hoot, hoot." We would have to reply, "Hoot," so that they would know our position through sound. I never know what's the original purpose of this, but it works though. Don't know why we can't just shout something else. After a while, the campmaster and some other facilitators arrived and forced us to get back to camp immediately. So we had to backtrack and follow signal calls from the camp. From time to time, we always heard a pathetic attempt of the signal call from the other side of the woods. They told us not to bother it and just follow the ones that are coming from the camp. When we reached the camp, we saw most of them were already there. They laughed at us because our faces were fucking pale and looked like we're about to shit brick walls. The facilitators asked us the password, also a safety measure. We all had to whisper the answer to the facilitator, and only then could we sit down. Finally, the group I'd gone with had all sat down, thank fuck there wasn't any extras. We sat near a fire to dry off the clothes that were wet when we crossed the river. And then, one guy shows up, all alone. Looks like he's wet. Must be an unlucky fella who went down in the river. I just kept my eyes on him as he goes to one of the facilitators to tell the password. What happened next? Totally fucking terrifying. The guy just screeched fucking loud, like my eardrums would explode. Everyone was panicking. After that, I feel like I wanted to vomit, and so I did, and some of the other kids did as well. I lost it at that point. I still had my eyes on it though. Its jaws were fucking wide open, and then it disappeared into the forest. The facilitator was on the ground, not moving. We thought he was dead or something. I got my shit together, and after a while, we were told to get in the lecture hall/room. Other facilitators also started flooding in. Throughout the night, we can hear the same screeches and signal calls. I couldn't sleep until 4 a.m. when I'm all drained out from all the activities we did during the day. I woke up at 12 p.m. No morning activities, I guess, since what happened last night. Everyone was gathering outside. The campmaster was talking about what happened yesterday. He said the woods is something we should not fuck around with, especially the things that lives in them. He suspects that someone must have been a big talk during that night, so that inhabitants probably got pissed off and gave a hell of a scare to all of us. It was a lesson to remember, of course. I knew about this already. That's why I never swore at all in the woods. Even if the motherfucking mosquitoes are biting you away. The total people that were missing that night was a shocker. 8 students were missing that night. They began to search again during sunrise, so it's easier to find them. They all have been found naked in the woods, totally separated from each other. 5 of them are boys, and 3 girls. I knew a lot more than what I had seen last night after asking the campmaster. The best part is he said he didn't escort us back to camp. He was still in the woods looking for the rest. Thank fuck our camping trip was cut short and we went back. We even got the chance to do some shopping at the mall. It is said that these things follow you up to this point, so you had to make a stop somewhere and not go back directly to the school/home. I can say that was the most terrifying thing that has ever happened to me, X. For the record, I'm never going to use that word, because using it tends to invoke them, according to wagon burners, and I really don't want to fuck with that. Day after Christmas, supposed to get a ride from my buddy to a local bar where we're having an unofficial high school reunion. He calls me from the bar and says to get down there because they're gonna close if people don't show up. Get in my car and turn on the radio, just jamming out for a minute. Road is completely dead. Suddenly, music just stops. Complete silence. Can't even hear my engine, but I'm still driving. See something on the edge of my headlights as I'm going around the corner. Looks like an elk, which is no big deal around here. Only thing is, it's not on 4 legs, and it's moving fast enough that it stays on the left edge of my headlights, which shouldn't be possible since I'm turning left at 75 miles per hour. Make it to the stop sign where the highways intersect. Car is coming, so I can't turn. Tap, tap, tap on my window. Luckily, car turns towards me and tapping stops. Radio comes back on. Drive to bar, shaken up. Have a beer and play a round of pool to loosen up. And the bar closes because there's only 6 of us there. The drive home was even worse. Driving home by myself, past the corner just before my house. Radio stops. Fuck no. Don't miss a beat, just speed into my driveway as fast as possible. Open car door and start running from the door. Hear feet behind me in the snow as I'm moving, and they stop just as I make it to the door. Random scratching on my wall most of the night. Seriously, fuck them. We've never spoken about this particular event, not even among ourselves after it happened. It was my friends, Ben and Ryan and me, going camping into the woods, like we used to do when we would get a weekend off. Or, at least, used to. Before this. In general, we try to go to new places. There was this one forest in particular, situated 2 hours away from our city, that we had been told about. We had been putting it off for a while because it was said to be dangerous, packed with wild animals that would attack campers often. Ben, in his usual part of trying to be badass, said he would take his shotgun and that we would be safe. Ryan was a bit of a wimp, but he agreed. So we drove there as soon as we had a free weekend. We got there by mid-afternoon. After we set up camp, and the night was beginning to set in, we decided to go for a walk. We secured our stuff. Ben took his shotgun, in case any animals approached us, and we started following a small path that got deeper into the woods. Walks in the dark like these would always relax me. but this time, I was starting to feel uneasy. Something was off. After about half an hour of walking, we started to hear noises getting closer to us. They sounded like footsteps of several big creatures closing in on us. But to this day, I swear, I could also hear soft whispers between the noises. Feeling like cornered animals, in total panic, we began running back through the path we had come from. During this, I somehow lost Ben and Ryan, and could not even see their flashlights in the distance. I kept running, scared shitless. At some point, I ran past an old house, which seemed to have suffered a fire. The windows were boarded up, but the door seemed half open. Suddenly, I heard something coming from the inside. Terrified at first, I froze. But then I realized it was actually Ryan calling for me to come inside. I was doubtful at first, for some reason, but as soon as I heard the animal sounds coming closer to me, I bolted into the house and closed the door. I lifted my flashlight to look around, and there was Ryan. I pointed the light to his eyes, but he didn't seem to react much to it. In fact, he seemed really calm, which was odd for him. "Let's stay here for now," he said in a relaxed tone of voice. "Those things out there could be dangerous." Now, I was worried about Ben, but remembered that, worst case scenario, he had a shotgun ready if anything attacked him. I took a deep breath and started looking around the room. The few chairs that were laying on the floor looked charred, and in one corner of the room, there was a pile of sticks, with a bunch of stones scattered around them. All of a sudden, we heard Ben's gun go off twice. I stood there paralyzed, as every other sound in the forest stopped. I glanced briefly at Ryan, and he was just looking at me, completely quiet. I was about to say something when, suddenly, someone started banging on the door. Ryan immediately grabbed my shoulder and said, "Don't open the door. It could be one of those things." I started walking towards the door, and he insisted, "Don't do it. They are going to kill us." This really unsettled me, but I was afraid it could be Ben, who had just shot one of the wild animals and was looking for shelter. I grabbed on the metal door handle, took a deep breath, and, as Ryan was still talking behind me, I opened the door. A cold chill ran down my spine. Standing there, in front of me, was Ryan. It didn't sink in at first, as he was saying, "Hey man, did you hear Ben's gun go off too? I think we need to find him and get the hell out of here." I babbled something incomprehensible and slowly turned around, pointing my flashlight all over the room. Nobody was there. When the light reached the corner of the room, I realized what I had been looking at earlier. It was a pile of bones, and around them, forming a circle, were a bunch of skulls. Human skulls. We ran off as fast as we could, and found Ben near the campsite. When he saw us, he became pale and didn't say a word. We got on my truck and drove the hell away from there, leaving our shit behind. On the way back, after a long silence, I asked Ben what he had shot at. "Some things came from behind the trees and attacked me, and I shot them down." "Ben, what were those things?" It was you guys. I killed you both back there." The rest of the way back, nobody spoke a word. We never saw Ben again. Be hunting coyotes out in the cornfields. Be hunting at night. Be hunting over gut pile of some jack-lighted deer. Shoot 2 coyotes, leave them there. Half hour passes, nothing. Suddenly, silence. Complete fucking silence. No bugs, no birds, no anything. Crunch, scrape, crunch, tearing noise. What the fuck? Cloud goes over the moon. Complete darkness. Like, can't see your own hand type of darkness. Moon comes back out. Something silvery, very low to the ground, and about 8 feet long, gnawing on dead coyote by the gut pile. Assume pair of coyotes laid down to dine. That explains the length. Night vision sucks for distance recognition. Bring rifle to shoulder. Sight approximately where a shoulder/hip would be. 243 ballistic tips. More than enough to fuck a coyote, even with a hip shot. Crack. It just kinda stands up. Only gains like 6 inches in height, but can now clearly see it only has 4 legs. And eyes. Oh god, the eyes. Blood fucking red and huge. Like bigger than a coyote's entire head huge. I work the bolt. Crack. Watch the round impact in puff of dust and the hair 3 inches behind/beside one of the eyes. It just kinda saunters off, like I'd hit it with a cork gun. Work the bolt faster than I've ever worked a bolt before. Crack. Work the bolt again. Crack. Now, out of sight. Rapidly reload. Tactically myself back to the truck. Grab assault rifle, 8 mags, and fuck you a battery spotlight. Tactically my way back. 1 million candle power spotlight for the win. Blood and fur, fucking everywhere. Dead coyote is bitten clean in half, like one entire bite. Fur is like fake redhead red, like I'd shot a pipe full of cheap wigs. Notice blood trail. Blood looks black. That ain't right. Not under incandescent light. Take Walmart receipt from pocket. Dab it in blood. The blood is black. Frantically shine light all over the woodline. Immediately light up the face/eyes of that thing. It's just sitting there, watching. Sitting like a dog, but it's like 6 feet tall. Wait a minute. Its legs weren't that long. Shine light on its chest. It's leaning on an old fence post, like a human, covered in that fake redhead red fur. Mag dump my AR. Reload. It appears completely unconcerned, even though there is now black blood clearly visible on its fur. Tactically nope my way back to the truck. Haul ass to town. Get game warden. Game warden goes back out with me at first light, armed for a bear. Coyotes and deer now reduced to clean white bone. Bones still in skeleton position. No predator eats like that. No predator is that clean. Find blood and fur. Game warden takes samples in evidence bag. Go home. Be informed immediately upon returning home. The DNR has already called with analysis. I know for a fucking fact I beat the warden back to town. DNR says it was a bobcat. My state hasn't had a confirmed bobcat sighting since the 30s, and that thing was easily 20 times the size of a bobcat. Call DNR back. Get brusquely told to drop the subject. I think the government was field testing some sentient bioweapon. It absorbed at least 2 good hits from a 243, and at least 1 good hit from a 556 Swift A-frame. Never went back to farm after dark. B-15, with the same age cousin, and bros all within a year of each other. Go into the woods to be manly like we do. Have normal supplies, axe, hatchets, knives, machetes, etc. Getting late in woods. But we must be extra manly, as 15-year-olds like to pretend to be. Finally decide the bugs are too much. Time to head in. On the way back, there is a pretty androgynous-looking person on our trail. Just standing there in torn clothes. "Hey, you lost? We could lead you out if you want." Starts doing this heaving motion, like dry heaving, but lifting their elbows too. Very unnatural looking. "What the fuck are you doing?" Heaving stops, opens mouth, and just screams bloody fucking murder. Today, I would have ran, but we were all posturing like 15-year-olds do. Plus, we were stocked with lethal weapons, and there was like 9 of us. All weapons raised in defense mode. Screaming stops after like 30 seconds. Cricks head unnaturally, like they do in almost every possession movie, and smiles at us. "Get the fuck away from us!" Runs off into the woods. Strangely, can't hear its footsteps after it disappears in the first layer of brush. Nope out of the woods. We didn't go back to the woods for like 3 weeks.